New Comic Book Day Book Club. It's
still
real.
a thing.
It happens. Yeah.
Remember when I used to do this every week? Oof,
Oh,
where do we get that energy?
Man.
Yeah, who has the time in this economy?
Remember when books used to actually come out on Wednesdays?
Yeah.
People will still try to convince me that Tuesday is New Comic Book Day. Those DC fans.
Yeah.
Tuesdays.
Thursdays or Fridays if I'm lucky.
But that's the whole point of this new format. Thank you, people, for watching this on the rewind or joining us in the chat. As always, for New Comic Book Day Book Club, going on, 2.5 years now. White Whale Comics.
It's the second longest relationship I've ever had.
There's no way I can beat that.
Yeah.
And also, the guy I've spent more Wednesdays with than my own family probably in the last few years, Jason, Comics Misexplained.
Yeah, man, isn't that crazy? Like, I definitely spent more time with you guys than anyone else I think I know. Yeah.
What is Wednesday without you two guys?
I don't know, man.
Probably better.
I'm definitely going to question that one.
Yeah, we'll think about it.
So thank you, folks, for finding us and joining us. Our show that used to be like Alex said, weekly Wednesday look at a particular title that came out in the month. We've transitioned it into a monthly look back, a roundup look back at the month of April this month. And some of the highlights, lowlights, noteworthy books that we may have read during that time. I throw the link out to the Wednesday crew from the Comic Corps, any of them that want to jump in and have read some of the books or just want to shoot the breeze and talk a little bit of trash about any of the things we're talking about are welcome to join. And Jason has risen to the occasion twice in a row now.
Yo, stepping up,
You're brazen.
Yeah, no one else is coming through. I'm like, yo, I got my homies back. I'm here. I read some stuff,
And on a night like tonight, I greatly appreciate the extra help because, as I was telling these fellas before we went live, I got my second COVID shot today, so I'm a little drowsy boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been doing virtual student conferences all day, sitting in this chair, but slid over so my parents don't know how much of a comic nerd I am. So yeah, I've been, I'm ready to actually do something outside of this chair, but instead, I'm diving deep because I thought this was a great month and I really enjoyed a bunch of books.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I always enjoy it when I get to read comic books. I always make time for it, usually Saturday mornings, to get like this couple cups of tea and then, some little snacks and just read and zone out for a bit, and that's nice. I got to do a little bit of that. And sometimes I don't always get to. So it's nice when I do. And this past 2 weeks, there's been good stuff.
Let's say hello to some people in the chat as people start drifting in here for New Comic Book Day Book Club. We got TM Nerdy. Travis is here. Yeah. And Fable is here as well. The station crew. JP says, I thought this show got canceled. No, not at all. Not true. We got Perry dropping Kate's favorite emoji, although that looks like it's got a pig nose. It
does, yeah.
We got Tony, the old wolf, who was texting me a little bit ago saying, there's a show tonight, right? Yes. Facts.
It's an hour earlier than it normally is. What is
right?
Pretty nice. I like that. Yeah.
One of the people whose independent comic perspectives I admire the most, Jennifer from Comics Will Break Your Heart, is here.
Thanks a lot.
I said one of. I also didn't imply you were one of them. So
yes, I realized that.
TJ says, finally a good show on Wednesday. Love you too.
Fair.
Yep.
And hey,
it's me. What's up?
You got double Jason's going right there. Chris Barrett says, JP, only your show got canceled. Ouch. Not true. His show's doing just fine.
It's got downsized.
Right. So there's that.
No, I don't know.
And I did say hi to JP, but there he is again. Hi, JP. So for those that don't know, some of the books we'll be talking about tonight, we got a lot of indies that I thought there were a bunch of great issue number ones. And as usual, our goal is to kind of give you an idea of would you like that book? Would you not like that book? Is it something you want to pick up or put on your pull list or go and hunt down for yourself? In particular, we're going to be mentioning a little bit for Jeff Johns' Geiger. We've got Ram V's The Many Deaths of Laila Starr. That's for you, Jennifer. We've got Phantom on the Scan, which I've been talking about a bunch, but not actually giving my full review on. So I'm looking forward to that. From Marvel, nobody's talking Way of X, and I wanted to spend a little time talking about Way of X. And then Alec and I reviewed Karmen issue 1. And so now we're back for more with Karmen issue number 2.
Yeah. Some high quality stuff right there.
Other books might jump in as well. We're not going to go too long. We're going to let Alec get his COVID nap in here soon. But yes, lots of books to talk about. And I thought it was a pretty awesome month. And hopefully everybody else felt so too. And they got some things that they really liked.
Yeah, I mean, out of that list that you just brought up, there were no dumpster fires. So that's, I mean, it's easier when we can after the fact say, hey, let's talk about these books. But we kind of like decided on a couple of them before we even read them. So yeah, there's certainly ones that I liked more than others. But
I really do want to read Zombie Tramp and then My Little Pony. Is that one comic or is that 2 comics?
The crossover Zombie Pony?
The crossover everyone's been waiting for.
Right? I mean, isn't there My Little Pony and
Transformers?
Transformers? Yeah. So why not Zombie Tramp and
I think it's a bit of a bigger step.
My Little Pony Zombie Tramp Stamp.
Is there Care Bear crossovers? Is My Little Pony? That's
tattoo idea.
Idea.
I've got ideas. Hey, Gore Vidal is here. He says Karmen is the most interesting book I'm reading now, an enchanting story. We will definitely get in on that for sure. Alec is liking books. What a downer.
I mean, I can still say bad stuff about them. Don't worry.
We generally get into the nitty gritty for everything for sure. I want to talk about the book that is on the thumbnail for tonight. So I'm going to get us going by talking a little Phantom on the Scan.
Yeah.
This was Cullen Bunn's new issue number 1. I know Jason's a big Cullen Bunn fan. We've talked about him a few times together. There's several things I like about this comic besides the overall just premise, which is not terribly original, but I like the idea of a comet comes by Earth and affects the lives of many, and there are payments that need to be made for the bonuses that they may have gotten from this experience. It's not a terribly original idea. In fact, reminded me a little bit in some ways of the what was the Boom Studios book that Alec and I loved, the East Berlin, Strange Skies.
East Berlin.
There was definitely a little bit of that in there.
There was also a little bit of, I don't know if you watched Sense8 on Netflix at all.
I did, yes.
Kind of like that idea of people around in different places who can communicate because they have like similar powers. They only really touched on that, but it's still.
Yeah, some reason I was thinking Suspect Zero with Ben Kingsley, even though that deals with like remote viewing, with your mind. Just because I guess at the end of the issue, it kind of gives like redacted governmental files, and I guess like apparently there's. I was like, because I was wondering too. I think maybe it was from the comet or whatever that gave these people powers. I guess it could be, but then again, it mentions like introducing like stuff into people's food and like stuff in comic books and then movies and TVs. They called it Project Aftershock. That was fun.
For me, like what I liked about this one was it didn't feel rushed. It felt. I mean, we only really get like a couple of moments that are really stretched out to give us like what matters.
Right, which is something I ask for a lot. Right.
There's a lot of patience on the page here, and it builds to a really twisted, cool moment that I was not fully expecting to happen. It feels like a moment that would happen in issue 3 or something.
Yeah.
So as paced as it is, as nuanced as it is, they also sucker punch you with this moment at the end that I thought was wonderful. So I was really excited to hear what you guys thought of it. So
I mean, I'm kind of both sides of the coin with the way they ended it, because it was like a oh crap moment, but at the same time, like I feel like it for me didn't have the punch that it could have, because like you said, it was paced so like slowly that I don't really have a grip on the situation yet.
Yeah, for me, I feel like that's kind of like Bunn's writing style, where it's very comic booky or TV showish, where you have those beats where it hits like big thing at the end, conclusion, wait till next issue, see you next episode. You know what I mean? That's like always happens, and he's good at that, and that was a good little cliffhanger. Will definitely bring me back. This might be one I wait out for a whole entire trade to be done.
Right.
That is, I feel like, more so the way a lot of comics are written nowadays. That you have that. The joke I have is like last page villain reveal, but there's always that kind of like big boom bow moment at the end of issues, especially issue ones, that people do a lot, where they want to get you like, oh, what's going to happen next type of thing.
Yeah, you're right though. They definitely could have dragged it out to make a bigger impact, but I guess I'm sure it's just the start of like a tease of a villain, and he'll go away. Then like, oh, what was that? We got to prepare.
Right. I loved it as a shift in gears too. For me, that's what I liked about it. Everything was so creepy and measured, and then all of a sudden to be like get a gut punch, it was like, oh, I really felt like it unsettled me as the reader to the point where I was like, I just don't know where this book could go. It could go anywhere, and I'm just in.
I think my favorite thing about it was probably the art of the ghost kid with the thumbs. You can see like thumb smudges for him.
So creepy.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah, so I didn't talk about Mark Torres, the artist, but his style is very unique in the way he manages this book. I can open up to a couple of pages. So I have 2 copies of this now. So at the beginning when let's see here, I'll go to this one. When the comet flies over, we get these kind of black and white pages with the comet flying by 20 years ago, and we see people in little moments of their lives: a car crash, a boy in a hospital bed, and then there's 2 kids swimming. It's hard to tell what's going on with these kids, where they are, and how they're swimming, but we get this. I love this page with the swirling panels.
The art and like the decisions about the layout and stuff were very interesting. There were some panels though where I felt like the artwork got a little muddy and hard to read, but overall I did really enjoy it. But there are a couple panels where
for sure
it was just hard to see what was happening.
Yeah, it was just a little too abstract for me.
Mostly in the beginning, I was like,
and then the kid
perspectives. I was like, what's happening?
The fingerprint kid that you were talking about is this kid that is speaking, but only our hero can see him as best we can tell. It seems to be that these were the 2 kids in the lake at the beginning of the story, and now they're dealing with whatever powers this
one kid
gave them. Well, in the lake, it looked like there were 2 kids. There was a kid, like they fall in, and then there's one kid who's at top and one kid being pulled down at the bottom down here, and they're looking at each other, and it's almost like only one of them made it out, and the one that died is haunting the one that made it. Yeah, the Keanu Reeves lookalike.
Yeah.
Speaking of the ending, real quickly, I don't want to spend too much time on this book because I know neither of you read it. But I finally got around to reading the new Terry Moore serial book.
Ooh.
And it's just such a stark contrast for how he ends issues compared to how
anybody else these days.
That trend of like big punchy, splash page at the end of like, this is what's happening.
Because it's expected. You just expect it like nowadays.
Right. It's like almost like he leaves you off mid-sentence sometimes, which like and I've said this before, if you're writing a good story and you want to turn the page to read more, that for me is going to bring me back just as much as like, oh, what's going to happen next?
A shocking moment.
Right. I mean, not to say that they don't both have their place, but I just wish more people
when one happens more often, it's obviously disappointing, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of times it gets used as a cheap trick rather than like a storytelling device.
Totally.
Yeah, I think that kid I'm assuming it's going to be like a drunk driver. He was a drunk driver and smashed into a family, and the kid died is what I'm assuming.
The kid that is speaking to him? Because I assumed that there was 2 kids 20 years ago, 2 kids that were swimming in that lake, and one got pulled down and drowned, and the other one lived, and the little kid is haunting the kid that grew up to be our hero.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Because what I noticed was like the car crash.
There is. I'm thinking these other people. So the story follows the main character, and he's talking to this little
ghost kid,
and the ghost kid, when the main character goes to his therapist, the ghost kid helps him understand that maybe there are other people with this power that he's got, this psychic powers that he's got, and that something's happening to them, meaning that one of them has died, and we see some visuals for that.
And it's funny because like the therapist,
and then he figures out a way to bring all these other people together at a diner, which is kind of the finale of the issue, to give them this information that they might be in danger. And
it's funny because like the therapist, his patients were those people that also had psychic abilities, and so he's apparently just doing what he's told, is what he
Which makes you wonder who's telling him that, right?
Right.
Who's pulling some strings behind?
But because of the ending of the post, the past, after the comic's done, the post credits of the redacted, governmental files, it's the government or whatever behind it, so. Right?
Yeah, that's another great point. This issue includes a ton of additional material at the back, which I thought was kind of fun. These little dossiers, it's basically like you're saying, these files with redacted elements, was kind of fun. There's like several pages of them, so I thought that was a cool little additive. But to Alex's point,
I think there's also a soundtrack made by the artist, correct?
Yes,
for free that you can listen to, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think there's a QR code that you can scan, right?
Very cool.
To Alex's point, though, I think it's easy to be feeling like, well, they're just doing that thing that everybody else is doing at the end, even though I feel like this is a rare moment when it doesn't feel like a villain reveal, because we had the moment earlier for me, but for me, it feels like it's working here. Like it's what I wanted.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm totally criticizing it, because it didn't make me roll my eyes or anything. But to your point earlier, you said, you expect that to be like an issue 3 type of thing, where I think if this issue ended with them all sitting at the diner saying, awkwardly saying like, okay, what next type of thing, like I feel like that could have been just as impactful, and then you could build up to it. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's just I don't think you should have to rely on that type of.
No, it shouldn't be the thing that you have to do that's required. And there are several of these that have that moment. Absolutely.
Yeah. I do appreciate like Cullen Bunn's ideas and some of his creativity in that way. And his writing doesn't really like get me where it's like, I got to read this, I got to know what's happening, or this is such a good story. It's just like interesting ideas that I like to follow. But they're always like pretty cookie cutter. You know what I mean? He's a good comic book writer. I think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
He has a very large output, and it's always pretty good. I'm never like really disappointed in reading one of his stories, but I'm never like blown away also. You know what I mean? But they're always,
and for me, so I've been saying it at the time. This is my favorite book for April. Like I am very excited for more of this.
The art sells me alone. I really like the art a lot in this book. It's worth checking out just for that.
So I'm gonna give this one like I almost want to do 9.5 on this one. That's how much I really enjoyed this one.
I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like an 8.2 for me.
Nice.
All right.
But before we move on to the next book, I do want to highlight a comment from Flashpoint Comics. It was quite a while ago. Just really quickly.
I didn't even see Flashpoint. I'm sorry, Flashpoint. Where are you at?
You said, how about that Marvel Wonder Woman ripoff? And if you haven't seen it yet, there's a Heroes Reborn art germ variant.
Oh wow! Way up your
When I saw it, I said, like, not sarcastically or as a joke, I said, why is Wonder Woman in a Marvel book? It's wild.
It seems like art germ was like, oh, they need to cover it. Oh,
I have this Wonder Woman thing.
I didn't use this for DC.
Yeah, it legitimately.
That do like anything for you?
The design looks like that. It just, wild choices.
No, I totally agree.
I'm going to look it up right now.
But I completely skipped Heroes. Despite the fact that it's Ed McGuinness and Jason Aaron, I just skipped.
I thought that was a Wonder Woman book.
Yeah, there's the cover.
I just noticed the Heroes Reborn logo on the bottom, but I thought that was wow. Cool.
It's Silver Witch or something?
What a bad moderator John is. Hey, come on now. Give me a break.
I mean, it's a great looking cover.
Beautiful cover, but it was like hard to
It's
understand.
more of a question about what Marvel's doing than it is what art is doing.
So is there a book you wanted to talk about, Alex? Something of the ones you read that you want to make sure we spend some time on tonight?
Well, I don't know if I should go with my favorite or save that to the end, but
whatever you like.
All right, let's talk about Karmen too.
Ooh.
Yeah, nice.
Issue number 2.
This is such a good comic. I love reading this comic. It's so fun. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's a sight for the eyes. I really like the different, like, not so much the panel layouts, but like what they're doing in the panels, like the different angles and views. No, it's fine. No, like seriously, it's better to look at the cover. But yeah, just the different angles and stuff that they use in the art is incredible. It feels like you're flying too with the girl, you know.
Yeah. This, you know, I enjoyed issue 1. We talked about that, you know, and we were pretty complimentary of it. And so, but we were, you know, kind of all said like, well, we don't really know what issue 2 is going to bring, if it's going to be a new character or whatever.
Right.
But it does continue to follow the same girl. But, you know, there was kind of a question mark of like, where is this going to go?
Yeah.
After reading this issue, unless he does something to really screw it up, this is this year's Little Bird for me.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm tempted to give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I could feel that.
Yeah.
So then, what was it? What was it that was the tipping point for you in this particular second issue? Where did you go over the edge and be like, okay, wow, here we are?
I think like during it, like I was feeling that way, but I was still waiting kind of for the other shoe to drop to be like, well, there's got to be a misstep. And the reason I say 10 out of 10 is I don't mean that it's like the best comic I've ever read or even the best comic I've read in the last 5 years or whatever, but there just wasn't a fault to it to me.
Right.
There's nothing really I can criticize.
Yeah.
And it was poignant and existential. And like Jason said, it was gorgeous to look at. The layouts are, and
the city shots, dude, the city scopes.
Yeah. Not only like the detail in the art itself, but how he uses the page and tells the story. Right. Like the first few pages of the book have no dialogue. The first few pages of the book have no dialogue, and they're so compelling. And then, you know, it really like, there's so many books about depression and suicide and all this stuff, then it's so easy to like make light of it. And I don't mean like people are poking fun at it, but they're not looking at it in a way that I feel like is really tackling the subject matter. And
or
I feel
adding
like
something to the conversation.
Yeah. And this like, it was so deep and rich in the conversation that she was having with the death character at the end of the book, that it felt like, you know, really personal, I would have to guess, or at least like a tangentially personal to the creator, because this isn't something that you just like tap into if you don't have it inside you.
It's very emotional, very, very human, you know. Everything about this book in general, it's about life and death. Like it's deep in that way. And if you're looking for people to punch things, like you're not going to like it. But if you're looking for like something deeper and emotional and a good, like pretty solid story, that's more of a human experience, then I would highly recommend Karmen.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't even know what I would say bad about it. It was just, and to Beard Comic Bros comment, like, yeah, I can understand why it's not for everybody, for sure. But I think it's everything I want in a comic.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice to have like these deep introspective, you know, existential thoughts in comic book. It's always refreshing for me instead of just seeing like a big bad guy Perpetua punch the Batman Who Laughs Manhattan version. You know, that's like that's like Transformers popcorn flick as opposed to like, you know, a Criterion flick. You know what I mean? This is two different levels, and Karmen is definitely the latter of those two options, and highly enjoyable. It's the first thing I read as soon as it was released. It's like, gotta read this, first thing I'm reading. So I haven't read it since then, but I just remember enjoying it a lot.
And as frequent viewers of my shows know, I am a big, you know, I am very much a fan of the later Fast and the Furious movies. So I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with those types of popcorn movies, but like I would I'll take this over that or any day.
Well, and can't we say that when you were saying earlier something about how it was a 10 out of 10 and how you're not saying it's the greatest thing you've ever read, what you're saying is it's doing what is it's in the lane that it's in. It is doing everything correctly.
Perfectly. Yeah.
Just like Fast and the Furious, for the lane that it's in.
Right. Yeah,
is doing its lane a service.
Yeah, I don't grade Fast and the Furious 7 the same I would grade
Or should you?
Yeah.
And I think that's fair, and I think, when you're comparing art in any way at all, it's all subjective and ridiculous at that point, right?
Right, because it's trying to do something different. You can't hold it to the same standard.
Yeah, it's subjective, but it's also contextual. You need the context to understand the proper mind frame of anything that you experience. You need to know what you're getting into, what it's about. You can't just judge things on a certain mindset from the get-go. You know what I mean? You need to get a certain thing, like.
But also, like, it's just as hard to make a great action movie as it is to make a great thoughtful piece.
Oh yeah,
like there are a lot of really bad action movies, and the reason why people love Fast and the Furious is because they're done very, very well.
Well, they're a lot of fun too. Right. In that way, what we're talking about is art being able to be just effective, right? At drawing out whatever that emotion is, whether that's just excitement or having a good sense of humor or touching an emotional chord in some way, right?
Mm-hmm.
This show is hosted by three very intelligent people. Those kind of popcorn flicks are good on the first viewing, but after that, it's painful to watch.
Yeah, they're good to have it on the background, and then you watch the exciting scenes, then you don't pay attention to the story scenes. But like, I dare anybody to watch the end of the movie where they do the Paul Walker, thing and not feel emotional about that.
Sure.
Because, as we say on the Wednesday show, it's about family.
It's right. And it's also,
I don't have that GIF ready.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Nor should you.
The Fast and Furious movies apparently are going to be shown for free in a marathon across theaters everywhere. AMC and I think Cinemark, like all a bunch of theaters are getting upon that initiative.
Preceding
bring people. Yeah, exactly.
I just got vaccinated. Sign me up.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I know. I was thinking about it. I trying to remember the last one I saw in theaters, probably like Tokyo Drift, if that. Like, I don't know. So, but I did see them all recently. So that, yeah. I think it might be good for a while. I don't know, until 9.
So, I will say I totally enjoyed this as well. The art, we haven't talked too much about the art, but the art style is fantastic.
I don't know how many pages you can show, but
I can definitely.
I love that the city landscapes
get our money's worth here.
The city shots, and you have like the bird like in a fountain and stuff. And
I love this sequence here, where you see
flying in the sky.
They're flying through, but you can also see like her trajectory is a yellow arrow, and then all these little white arrows showing you where these other panels are on the map. So there's nudity here. Sorry, folks. It's a John's
You're constantly up her butt like Star Fox. But
basically, there is that element for sure.
Like, yeah, and I know we talked a lot about this last time we talked about this, about the idea of her nudity and how that works. But like,
beautiful.
It's never like, it never felt cheesecakey to me. Like, it's a shot of her butt, and like other artists very easily could have like
made it plump or voluptuous or something.
Or like had her bending over in a really provocative way. And
it's not done by Mark Brooks or like,
I would say like Horn. There are panels where
like Clayman.
Yeah, there are panels where I wouldn't say she looks unattractive, but like she looks very realized. Like she's got like her stomach folds properly, like a person's stomach folds. And
it's almost like a still life artist class set of drawings in the end.
Yeah.
All the poses and everything. Patrick Wall, what's up?
Yeah, this is the most European book you're going to read in America.
Yeah,
and I wanted to get onto this comment too.
Isn't necessarily sexual.
Yeah, and I think in this case, I think they're doing a lot. At the beginning, it was kind of like, for an American at least, probably a little more shocking or what have you. But this particular issue felt more about. It was what was more shocking was the emotional layers that she was peeling back. You know, I was way more uncomfortable with her raw emotional state than her nudity in this issue.
And
because that's where she's really vulnerable looking.
One of the parts that like really jumped out to me was when she was getting so upset at the end, her wrist started bleeding again.
Oh my gosh.
Thought that was like a really impactful decision, and the way he drew it with the blood just like kind of flowing out.
Totally.
Really.
I guess we find out that she wasn't even dating the guy, right?
No, she was just pining for him.
Jeez.
Yeah, he's got 2 other ladies.
Yeah.
that he's juggling.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Alex said 10. Jason?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely give it a 10. It's probably one of the better books too that you'll read this year if you're into that kind of stuff. You know, if you're looking for something more European or classy, class it up. You know, class up some comic books. Check it out. You know, for sure. I think you'll appreciate it. You know.
I would give this one maybe a 9 for me so far. I want to kind of see where it's going to go and what it will end up becoming in the end. But certainly I'm enjoying it a ton.
Do we know how many issues it's going to be? Like 5 or 6?
I don't know. I remember saying it when it first dropped. It is a limited series.
Okay.
I want to say 4 or 5, but I can't. If someone in the chat knows, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Travis
is back. What is up, TM Nerdy? Gore says, in Heavy Metal magazine in the late 70s and 80s, where Guido Crespa's Valentina initially appeared, she was naked much of the time, at times conversing with an astronaut. Brilliant work.
Very nice.
Always valuable having Gore Vidal in our chat, man.
For sure.
Appreciated.
Heavy Metal just put out the Tarna single series issues. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them now.
Okay.
It's like she has her own limited series happening, and I think the art is by Christian Ward. At least the covers are. And I can't remember who's doing the writing. I want to say Colin Bunn, but I don't think it is. It's someone else, I think. But I wanted to read this. No, it's a woman writer, I believe. I forgot her name, but I forget what she's done. But
okay,
Tarna's out there.
Is there a book you want to discuss, Jason? I know you saw the list beforehand. You might not remember them all. Is there something from this month that you're like, I really want to talk about this particular book?
Have you guys read Alien? I just got my Del Auto cover.
Oh, yeah. I think did we
talk about it last month? Yeah, last month. Because
the cover is gorgeous.
Yeah, I was not a Del Auto, dude. These Del Auto covers are insane. They're so beautiful.
But never open the book.
Right. It's funny. I've heard so many people complain about the story and the arts, and I can see both complaints for sure. For me, I wasn't expecting Citizen Kane. You know what I mean? It's like
I wasn't either. I was just expecting like a fun alien movie, and it wasn't that. It was like a weird family drama.
Well, for sure, the first issue did exactly what I thought it was, where like the alien shows up at the end. I knew that was going to happen. It's not going to happen right off the bat. Like, and people expected that though. I'm like, okay,
don't thumb us down, TM. I'm sorry, buddy.
We're only going to talk about it for a second.
Yeah, just for a little bit. But I mean, I agree with it's family drama. The kid's trying to do this revolutionary thing, and then of course sets off this whole entire big, mess up of a thing where the aliens were put. Apparently, there's a bunch of different aliens where they have they've been breeding with different kind of species. There's like water kind, a gas kind.
There's always been that in the comics, though, I think, because I remember having toys of them when I was a kid.
The Dark Horse stuff.
But like you say, of course the alien shows up at the end, but why? Of course, like we already have this fully established alien universe. Mm-hmm. Why not just have it like out of the gate, people running away from aliens and
dive right in?
I don't know. It's just
I'm not saying that's the right direction to go in, but like
it is a direction to go.
I think you definitely, for any movie, any action movie, you don't just start off with like stuff blowing up. Usually, like you got to know like who the characters are first, and then stuff starts popping off. You know what I mean? You got to get a foundation of who things are. I don't even say I would like it. Honestly, I don't think I even like it, but I'm curious to see what's going to happen, and I'm going to keep reading it because I like aliens.
I am not. Yeah, I'm not. No.
Yeah, I like aliens in general. I'm curious to see what Marvel's going to do with this. I'm going to read it for at least a story arc until it's like the trade issues are done.
Right.
But I wouldn't say I like it, but I do like the idea that there were different variants of aliens that were caught and bred behind the scenes. So there's like a gas variant and a water variant, and I want to see those. I mean, we saw the water variant in Alien Resurrection, which like swims, and that's a terrible movie, but cool creation.
They did the dog version in Alien 3, right? The Rottweiler birthed the one that could
what would
run
a
like
gas
a dog.
alien be though? Like, how would you make a gas alien? Like, what does that do? I don't understand that.
Awkward.
One. Yeah, it's just a big fart cloud just moving from room to room. But yeah, I just want to bring that up because I got that cool variant cover in the mail. I was stoked about that.
Yeah, that cover's great. I'm not gonna take anything away from that.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump to another book I don't hear a lot of people talking about for many reasons, I guess. Geiger, issue number 1. I did not get this cover. I of course went with the Eric Larson cover, which I thought was cool. But
that's fun.
Everybody was geeking on this one, and I know now there's a second print glow in the dark cover. But however you feel about Jeff Johns and his handling of the Joss Whedon drama, I still have a soft spot for him from Green Lantern, and I was definitely not going to overlook this Image number 1, especially with Gary Frank doing the artwork. I was all about it. I think this is pretty by the book. It's not terribly original, but it didn't take anything away. I felt like I really enjoyed the setup. I reread it today. I like the for me, it's a great comic until the last 5 pages, and then we can deal with the last 5 pages in a little bit.
Well, with a comic that's 22 pages long, 5 pages is fairly sizable chunk of it.
It was a big book, but that was a big chunk. Yeah, that 5 pages really hurt me. And what the sequence that was not dealing with the main character really bugged me. So that was the only bit that kind of frustrated me about it. What were your thoughts, guys?
I guess you're right. That is a hard start with the guys talking oh, let me tell you a tale of this guy that glows. A rough start. You're right. They should have started off a different way. But overall, I really enjoyed this comic, and I love Gary Frank art. I think there are some great panels in this book. The insane part where the nuclear explosion happens, just people just ripping apart. I like Doomsday Clock, and I think they're a great team. Seeing Gary Frank and Jeff Johns together again is cool.
Are they actually going to come out with books on time?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, who knows? Who knows how long Gary Frank has done this? They probably made this 2 years ago.
It's sitting on a shelf.
For me, this fell squarely in the same camp as a Nocterra.
Yeah.
As far as what it was trying to do. And for me, Nocterra was head and shoulders above this.
I did not read that yet, so
I am a Larson mark. Yeah.
Yep. I was saying this is very Eric Larson-esque, just in concept or execution, really.
Yeah. It just, it was good, but there was nothing in it that made me say wow, this is really a different way to look at the genre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it is a very fun kind of indie superhero comic. I guess concept, but it's a cool design. It's a basic concept of having a cool design action hero, action figure. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is what you get, and I think it's cool seeing Jeff Johns and Gary Frank's take on it. Yeah. It's good for what it is. And will I continue reading this? I think probably not. I mean, I'll probably read the trade if I get time to, but I'm not going to buy issue to issue. But I do appreciate the art. It's fantastic. Storytelling maybe could be better,
but Nocterra looked great too.
I will say
I will read that.
It's an interesting comparison to Nocterra, and I do feel like they left me with similar feelings. I feel like for me the issues were different. Meaning, with Nocterra, I really disliked the main character. She felt so flat to me, so unoriginal, so boring. Every page with her, I was like, so where's the super skinny girl with the big boobs and the midriff shirt who's gonna fight all the aliens off? This is
she's gonna be played by Scarlett Johansson or something when the film comes out.
No, it couldn't. It's Mila Jovovich.
Yeah,
clearly. This is clearly that was clearly Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
I just was not interested in Nocterra.
I think Nocterra's on issue 4. I think 5's going to come out, so I'll probably read it once 5 comes out, so I can read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and get a better idea of what it is.
Thunderhouse says this was supposed to be a black label before it went to Image. I didn't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what DC comic character they would have picked.
It was a Kickstarter that he backed and talked about on Two Brothers, and I believe you guys would like. Oh, sorry, there is a Kickstarter. Sorry, thanks, Christopher.
That's a fair criticism about the like midriff shirt thing, but like for me, this book didn't break any new ground either.
It didn't. I was able to connect to the character here because I liked the dad and the sacrifice he made and the concept of what he's going through. Versus her, I was just like, go away, lady.
I'll argue this. Like, yes, he is more noble than her, or so it seems, at least at this point. We don't really know her whole story in Noctera. But like, I didn't get a sense of him as a person at all, other than the fact that he sacrificed himself for his family. Like, they don't really establish.
There's no deeper layer.
There's no like character building for him.
No.
Honestly, for me, like that's like not even important because if you guys read the last Shazam by Jeff Johns, it's like Shazam going into like the 7 Wonderlands, and there's like a big map of 7 different like areas where he's gonna have to go and explore these different areas, like an RPG or a video game, you know. And this was the same exact way, because at the end, it's like Las Vegas, but they're all different territories. Like there's like, you know,
let's talk about that ending. Yeah.
So it's very Shazam-esque in the same exact way, but you have a different character instead of Shazam going through these different areas of adventures.
So what kind of rube ends a comic with a big "Welcome Las Vegas" sign?
with a very Game of Thrones, you know, Joffrey King guy, you know, screaming.
Well, it reminded me more of just like so many crappy stories where it's like the spoiled child of the king is now the prince becoming the king and in charge. I mean, it was such a cliched character acting in such a cliched manner that I was like, what's all over my hands now?
It's like very cookie cutter. Yeah,
it felt like a different book.
Totally. Versus, you know, you could almost argue that that Little Bird has some of the same concepts with its villain,
but it's handled so much more beautifully. The
connective tissue is so perfect, and the villain character has so many other layers going on. I was just like,
This
so
is
that honestly,
like,
that was the moment for me when I was like, I'm not buying issue 2. Like that,
you know, because of the ending. I was actually curious. I might pick up issue 2 because I remembered all the fun I had reading Shazam and what a fun adventure that was. And this is the same thing. It's very cookie cutter, basic action flick. It's not your deep Criterion. You know what I mean? Like, and so I might read issue 2 because I want to see. I guess they're going to introduce all the different gangs, all the different territories of Vegas and the mob bosses. Not that that's like that's super important or like super interesting, but it's like it's going to be, I think, a fun adventure, and hopefully we'll figure out who the main character is along the way. And so there is potential there, but it's not going to be like something to write home about. But it is a fun comic book adventure.
I mean,
I think it will be that way.
If the buzz builds to the point where people are saying this is a really great read, maybe at some point I'll grab that trade. But for now,
if it was DC,
I'm one and done, and I'm okay with it.
If it was a DC book, I think it would have a lot more, you know, oomph, a lot with the general public of people reading it. Because it's an indie, no one cares about it.
All right, so for me, score without the ending was like, we're in the 7.5, 8 range. With the ending is like 6.5 range.
Okay. I'd give it a 7.
6 for me.
I don't know. What would I give the first? What was the first book we brought up?
The first book was Phantom on the Scan.
What did I like better, this Geiger or Phantom on the Scan?
Oh, you should not even have to think. Shame on you.
Phantom on the Scan was, to me, a much better book.
All right, I'll give Phantom on the Scan 7.5, and I'll give this one a 6.5. How about that?
At least I'll agree with the second number. All right, I got 2 more books here we haven't discussed. Alec, do you have a preference? We got the Boom Studios, and we got the X-Men book.
I have not as much to say about the X-Men book, so I don't know if you want to.
Let's clear out the indies. Let's keep going.
Laila Starr is something I'd like to talk about.
Yeah. Let's get rid of the banner here, and I'll throw up. Yeah, go ahead and tell us what you think.
Give it Mac.
Another book, like I understand the art style is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it is so much more interesting to me than like most things I pick up and look at.
When it started off, it showed the city, and I was like, "Oh no, is this going to be like an art style choice?" And it got better as you know, it's definitely an art style choice, but like I did not like that city shot, the cityscape. But then after that, the comic book was exponentially better.
Yeah, the characterizations for me are what I really like.
Yeah, like Death with her arms.
Yeah, and the god who's got like the 3 faces and which like, you know, is not a new concept, but just the way it was drawn and like there's a lot of like movement and emotion and like stuff in the way the artist draws.
What's up, Ryan? We're into Jen is not here, but we're still talking about the many deaths of Laila Starr without her. I'm sure her ears are ringing somewhere. I think the art style really, really great. I love the concept and the way that I did not predict how this was going to go. The moments, there were several moments that caught me by surprise, and the sense of humor. I think it's really got a fun, playful sense of humor.
I think Ram V is a very underrated writer, and I'm excited to see him get more attention. I think people are realizing what a good writer he is. Both in the mainstream DC comics and his indie stuff. So very cool to see him branch out and he's not just stuck in the DC machine.
Right. Hello, Roscoe. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I mean, I've been reading his some of his other stuff from like Vault with no, good Lord, what's wrong with my brain right now? Savage Shores, Savage Shores, and Green in Blue, which was last year, a book he did last year. So I've been branching into his stuff, but Future State was the first time I had started reading his things. I did a bunch of his Future State books because everybody was saying, "Oh, he's really talented. You should read his things." And then found his Swamp Thing writing, and that's kind of where I branched off from there.
I think my first experience with him was Justice League Dark when he took over after Tinian.
Okay.
And I thought he did a good job, and so just kind of continued from there. Yeah, this is fun. I'm gonna definitely read the rest of the issues. So I want to know what happens, and I really enjoyed the art style as well. For me, that's kind of like I want to see more of it.
Yeah, it's so amusing to me because I would call it a fun read as well. Mm-hmm. But the story is about this silver tower where these gods live, and the god tells Death, "Hey, we don't need your services anymore because the person who's going to invent immortality was just born. So you're all set. We won't need you. Thank you for your service." And she's like, "No, I don't accept that." She gets put in a human body to try to kill the baby.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's what this story is about. It's about Death taking human form to murder an infant so she can keep her job. But it's very amusing.
And also another ghost kid. Yeah. I like this ghost kid. I like that one panel where it's just the ghost kid's like feet and hand through the back of a door.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, I thought I just didn't even really glance at it. And I thought it was like a head or whatever, an art style.
The one that follows Laila Starr around.
Right. And then I like looked back like, oh, that's funny. It's a really funny picture of like little tiny feet in a hand.
Lots of people showing some Ron V love in the chat. Yeah. New guy saying he's going to hurt his back carrying all the DC weight.
Yeah. I hear good things about Catwoman now. Yeah.
Todd Christian saying he's turning into one of his favorite writers with Swamp Thing, pick of the week this week. And it was another great issue from Swamp Thing for sure. I totally agree. Let me see it. I'm trying not to, hold them up too much, but it's just a really
the shiny cover.
I did. I got the shiny foil. Yeah,
nice.
Man. Sorry, I was going to try to find some of the.
If anyone missed this as well, second print came out today.
Yeah, there's a tiny little goddess.
Yeah, so cute.
Peeking through the door. Yeah, it's just really, really unusual art style. But for such a dark topic, so incredibly lighthearted and fun. Mm-hmm. And then instead of a villain reveal, we get a setting reveal. The idea that after Death fails to destroy the child, Death reawakens as Laila again, and
because she runs out of the hospital where she's trying to escape and gets hit by a truck. Yeah. So her human form dies. And then somehow she is still Laila Starr a few years later with another god talking to her.
It seems like it's the same god from before.
But it's the god of life,
in his human form.
Yeah.
I think this is the god of life, right?
God
I think
it's
a different guy.
Yeah. The three-faced.
And he
I think it's a different character. I think that's an actual god, the one with three faces. Like that's God in charge.
He's like the overseer god.
He's like the president, you know.
And I assumed that was him in a human form talking to her.
I thought it was a different god. Yeah, totally different god.
I'll have to read that again.
But then he's like, well, you don't have to feel bad about killing a baby because he's not a baby anymore. And that's where it kind of leaves off.
8 years later, right?
Which implies this sort of jump into the future that the setting has changed for Laila. But not the setting, I guess the time.
Morally speaking, is killing an 8-year-old better?
Definitely.
I think it's still
maybe worse. Yeah,
potentially more challenging, but I don't know. So yeah, this was a very close second for me as far as the read of the month. I really enjoyed it, and shout out to Comics Will Break Your Heart. Jennifer knew what was up and was trying to spread the word before the issue dropped. Although my LCS knew, because clearly they have a ton of them still.
Wow.
They bought big on this book, so hopefully it goes big and they can.
Hopefully it turns into something that's killing his children for them.
Right? That'd be awesome.
Speaking of that,
$650 raw now for issue 1,
and over $1,200 for a 9.8 in that cover A.
Joelle Jones series just got picked up today. What was the one with the killer wife?
Lady Killer.
Yeah.
I knew that they had sold it. I thought it was supposed to be part of Netflix something or other, but no.
They just announced, I think the main character in it is, I think, Supergirl, the girl who plays Supergirl, and a really good director as well. She has a good team behind with the show. It seems like, I think it's a show or movie. I think it's a movie. Maybe a show. I don't know. I don't know. But
so don't take anything Jason's saying right now. It's not useful.
But it is lots of hype happened.
She can't kill a baby with a name. You think she can kill an 8-year-old with a name and the ability to communicate?
I don't really know. It seems as if because clearly Death herself doesn't have morality because you can't. And she even says at one point something like, I've taken plenty of infants' lives over the years. This is nothing to me.
Right.
But her humanity, because she's in this human form, somehow gives her pause.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting journey to see where they go with that, to see if it's something they kind of build on.
Yeah.
I feel like the God of Life, he clearly, has feelings for her. He's been watching her sleep and stuff. So I think she's going to realize her humanity, I think, and have this relationship with him eventually. And that'll maybe cause her to give pause of killing this, I'm sure by then an adult, as
which,
guesses, but
by the way, I think the idea of creating immortality is reprehensible, but I still wouldn't kill a child for it.
So you're just saying you're on Team Death.
I'm always on Team Death.
All right, so let's hear some scores. Jason, how would you score this one?
I hope we see Ghost Child again, Ghost Kid. I'll give it a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10.
You're consistent. You're consistent.
I like it, man. I liked it. Yeah. Nothing this week I really hated. I liked them all in their own way.
Alec, what about you?
Can't believe I'm grading stuff higher than somebody on this show. I know this feels like a 9 for me. I thought it was great.
I was gonna say 9 or 9.5 for me, so it's right up there with Phantom on the Scan for me, at least for this month. Those were the bangers of the month.
It definitely went Karmen, this Phantom on the Scan for me.
Same order.
There you go. And I got one more last book that I wanted to get to before we can run through any other little notables that we want to mention.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be my channel if we didn't talk a little bit of X-Men.
Yeah.
And a book that I feel like nobody's talking about, which kind of stuns me. And it might just be Hickman overburn, people are just not having it right now.
Yeah.
But this was for me, the best issue number 1, I think, that they may have done since the House and Powers miniseries.
Same.
As far as an issue number 1 in this Hickman X-Men, I don't feel like you needed anything beyond Hoxpox to really get into this. I think they nailed Nightcrawler's character in a way that I hadn't seen in a really long time. And for me, it raised all the moral questions I was wanting them to get into from the start in ways that I did not see them raising it. So there's sequence. So those that don't know, Nightcrawler is having serious moral dilemmas. He is dealing with his faith and his mutant, country and faith are basically being in the balance. And he's watching how immortality is changing the younger generation of mutants. Things like, you haven't died yet? You haven't done you haven't had your first death yet? Like, what's wrong with you? And then people like willingly letting themselves die with the knowledge that they'll just come back. Mm-hmm. And his attitude or concern that it is causing a lot of harm to the mutant world. I mean, it was powerful concepts for me. Since Hoxpox, this was the first time I'd read an issue number 1 of any of these series, and I loved a bunch. Where I was left going, wow, like there's some big ideas here.
This is my favorite, new X-Men series. It's one I've been waiting for since Hox and Pox. I always wanted to know what they're going to do about this whole entire resurrection thing and this idea of a new mutant religion and what that means with having a life without death. And just from Nightcrawler, he's such a devout, Catholic, I think, right?
A devout Catholic.
I mean, to me, the whole idea of resurrection, since like in any story or whatever, is I guess it's the question of, is it you or is it just your memories and consciousness? Like if I were to die as a mutant and be resurrected in one of these egg things, do I carry on, or is my original spirit somewhere else?
Oh, like as in like a soul.
There's no, because this is
thing.
It's the question that we can't possibly answer, right? I mean, for me, it's the prestige, right? Are you the man taking the bow, or are you the man in the box? Right. The idea that like, did you
spoilers for the prestige?
Yeah, I never.
Well, I mean, I don't know that. I don't know if you haven't seen this prestige. I don't think you'd understand that idea.
I don't know what that means.
It's 20 years old at this point, so
that's probably true. Yeah. What is up, guys? Lost in Comics in the house. For me, like it's that concept. Obviously, X-Men can't answer this, because if they did, they'd be telling us basically that all our favorite mutants are not our favorite mutants anymore, because they've all pretty much died at some point or another, whether it was in Hoxpox and that explosion by the sun, or
what would that do to the spec market
elsewhere, right? Kingpin, what is going on? Good to see you.
First appearance of new Wolverine, resurrected Wolverine.
Yeah.
Right. Second generation Wolverine.
Let's not open that can of worms, though.
2.0. So yeah, I love that moral quandary, and clearly Nightcrawler lives it, right? Because at one point he shows up at this girl's resurrection and he has her favorite food. He's like, "Hey, I made this for you. Like, welcome back."
But her memories are imprinted at a certain time, and so she already went past that point, so she was already craving not sushi. She was
sushi. She was craving sushi.
By the way, I call BS.
She used to crave sushi.
She's
now she's craving like a cheese toasty, which is a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah. Which I call BS on, because as soon as she comes out of the bubble, she is aware of how she died, and she's like, "Yeah, that must have been really gory. I can't wait to see it," type of thing. But then they're like, "Oh no, she was imprinted when Cerebro did it. That's why she still wants sushi." So which one is it?
Did they say that? Yeah, I thought they were showing, I thought she said she didn't know what happened and they had to show her the footage.
I thought they showed her. Yeah.
No, I don't know. Maybe I misread that. Let me see. I have it right here.
Thunderhouse says, Alex, question is a great part of the Altered Carbon books, not the Netflix show, though. Is a digital recording of you really you?
Right. Like, that gives a whole entire thing of like what, the movie 21 Grams, The Weight of a Soul. How much does a soul weigh?
Right.
21 grams apparently. But like, for me, it's like, yeah, if your consciousness is there, that's you. I don't believe in a soul. I don't believe in a heaven or hell. So it's like, yeah, that's
same.
You. That's you.
It's a Marvel comic, so we're obviously digging a whole lot deeper into it than is designed. But
especially
Nightcrawler is he's
right.
carrying the weight of this.
Yes,
right. Nightcrawler all through this issue is carrying the burden of feeling like
he's writing a Bible.
This is wrong. Yeah,
right.
he's right. We see chapters from or pages from his Bible.
I love that.
Hoarder's Hide. What's going on?
His first chapter he writes, I wasn't too keen on, but like after that, the rest of the ones were good.
For me, like I read Karmen. No, I read Laila, Starr, then Karmen, then Phantom on the Scan, then Geiger. I don't remember if I read anything else in between, and then Way of X, and I was just like, oh, this is why I don't read Marvel anymore. And that's not to say that it was bad, because like at the end of the day, I did enjoy it for what it was, but it's just like it's a different level. And I'm not like crapping on people who like Marvel, but it's just like I would rather spend my time reading something that is, because there's just like,
it's very cookie cutter in your face, like
like
getting shot, like, oh, I'm in your face, like
there was nothing especially in like the art was good, but there wasn't anything especially interesting about it, or layouts or the storytelling. Like it, to your point, John, like it did have some interesting concepts. It was a good concept,
but
if you strip away all the X-Men stuff and concentrate more on the concepts, would it be more interesting? Because I feel like it just gets bogged down by the weight of needing to be part of this universe.
Well, I think that its dependency is also part of its creation. You need to know the background of Hawks and Pox to understand the potency of Way of X.
It's a double-edged sword. Like it is. You have this basis already, but you have to keep the basis going.
I don't feel like it was hindered at all, but of course I'm the target audience for this book in many ways.
Compared to Karmen, which like clearly very different things they're talking about, but there's still this similar kind of existential questions that, and like night and day for me as far as like the storytelling goes.
Of the execution.
Well, sure. Yeah, the execution of the storytelling is very, very different. But I also feel like they're, much the same way, Fast and the Furious and
right. And like sometimes you just want a Fast and the Furious, but like
I wouldn't say this is that either.
No, me neither. I think this is
it's not. But like
but in the way that they have their lane.
If a writer went to Marvel editorial with a script similar to Karmen's and said, I want to write this as an X-Men story, they would say, there's the door.
Like for sure.
Like Marvel,
or they would, change it up dramatically.
Right.
Something totally different.
But I think that like this story with Nightcrawler really kind of challenging his faith on a much deeper level and a much more kind of fine-tooth magnifying glass level would have been more interesting than all the other crap that was around it.
I think we're going to see him go through these things. I think these will be revealed as the Bible is being written. You know what I mean?
Right.
We'll see his experiences and his chapters and his recorded. But this is definitely, I think, my new favorite X-Men series. I kind of dropped off of all of them. This is the only one I'm actually interested in because I want to see how he deals with these concepts and what he's going to make as a new religion, and if people will follow it or maybe even crucify him over it.
Or both. I mean, it's just personal preference, right? It's just not what, I've limited time to read comic books in my life as everybody does. And I just would prefer to use that time to read.
How about that reveal though, at the end? I love this character, and he's shown at the end. I'm not sure if you want to spoil it or not, but
this is a full spoiler show.
It's definitely a spoiler show.
Cool,
but it does suffer from the villain reveal. As Marvel books or DC or mainstream comics.
It's a mainstream comic book. Like, what do you expect? It's like, I love the character of Legion, and I was very excited to see him. And it's cool because you kind of get teased that the whole entire way the patchwork man, he's our real villain. And meanwhile, they're trying to teach, in their class, like, oh, we got to hate the Scarlet Witch. The Scarlet Witch is the villain. People are like, I hear the patchwork man's going to get you. He's like, no, man, just quiet. The Scarlet Witch, what are you doing? Yeah. And then kids are like, nah, patchwork man. And you found out what the patchwork man is. And it, of course, as it was kind of noted earlier from the first part of the book, Charles Xavier's family pictures, you knew it was going to be his Legion.
Yeah,
I knew it right away. I was like, yes, finally. And at the end, I was like, yes, there it is, finally.
And you can see the way Xavier's just dwelling on it. And it's clearly, a bad parent. It's clearly he knows exactly what's going on. He just doesn't know how to approach it.
And it's cool because he's the first actual telepath, not really in on it in the island, I think, right?
Part of my problem with what, especially Marvel is doing with X-Men stuff for a long time now, is this power creep of mutant abilities. Professor X, Legion, Kid Omega, all these people are so powerful. It becomes almost, it doesn't make sense in Scarlet Witch too. It doesn't make sense that they wouldn't use their powers fully. Why would they pull punches at this point? If they want something to get done, they can just blow up or alter anything they want and change the timeline. And
what makes you wonder is there has to be a bigger plan behind it. Why are they postponing things? Apparently, of course, to sell comics, but I mean,
right. But why the characters are
right, and there's got to be a reason. And we haven't seen Mara yet, Moira, and also I'm really looking forward to the gala coming up. I love just the concept. I love fashion in general, just the idea. Even though I'm not wear fashionable clothes or whatever, what have you, or experimental designs, but I appreciate the art of it. I love the art of fashion, just the ideas that go into it. And so it's really fun for me seeing these new X-Men characters be these fashion people. And also, it's not a fighter punch you in the face kind of comic. It's going to be a whole entire event where it's politics. All their enemies are there in the same room. It's going to be a lot of jabbing. It's a British drama or comedy, there's going to be a lot of things like that going on. You have the whole entire security team run by X-Force, looking like Pulp Fiction.
They're going to have that X-Corp comic not too long from now either, where it's the business side with what is Warren Worthington doing with his money to fund what Krakoa is doing.
Jeff Schultz and Gore Vidal both have good points in
the paper quality of Marvel.
Marvel paper, it's shameful. Especially if they're charging $5-6 for a book. Get over yourselves, Marvel.
Yikes.
And then this one right here. So creators are saving their better stuff for creator-owned independence.
Which makes sense. Why would you give away your best money-making ideas to someone who's just going to take it from you?
Yeah, I think the only reason to go to Marvel and DC is to get your name out there so people know you. If you write something solid and get some attention, then go indie after that, because people will follow you if you have enough clout or following. Right. Then you can go indie and just ignore them, because I think that's how Ed Brubaker, besides Criminal Series being a solo that before really Marvel and DC, but he made more of a name cachet there that brought people over to his indie stuff and realized what a great writer he is. So I think that's kind of the way to go of doing things. Yeah, you got to do your time a little bit at the two majors just to get your name out there in the big public, because people have small mindsets and are stuck on big superhero comics before they realize there's much better things out there in the indie scene.
Well, I mean, obviously for me, this was a big hit issue. I really enjoyed, and so this one at least gets an 8.5 for me. As far as the book itself, I think it's got a ton of potential.
Yeah.
Again, like Jason says, I'm a big Legion fan. The show is great. I like the character, and he's in the comics, so I'm looking forward to that. I feel like I haven't seen somebody tackle Nightcrawler this significantly and interestingly in a long time, so I was really excited for that, and I'm looking forward to what Cy Spurrier can do with this. So
I really like Cy Spurrier. His Constantine was really good, so that's worth checking out. If those
okay, I have not read that.
I've
had such a hard time finding a good Constantine book.
That was rep for the Tom Taylor run, and it's much better. But I'm looking forward to where this is going to go. I too would probably give it an 8 out of 10 for what it was. And there's a lot of potential, and I'm excited about it. So
nice.
I don't know. there's a lot to say about that comic because it has so many like deep things it can get into. You know, so you're right. There's a lot of potential there, man.
For me, like, because of, like I said, how the order of thing I read things this week, I would say it's probably like a 7 for me, but in a vacuum, it's like an 8. Like, it was a solid book for sure, but it just like it got beat up by the other much better books that I read.
Yeah,
sure, but it crushed Geiger for me. Like Geiger.
Oh yeah, it was better than Geiger.
Yeah, for sure.
Geiger didn't stand a chance. Let's see. The chat is going all kinds of comments here. I'm gonna just try to ignore it. There's too much going on in there for me to really get in. But I did want to just mention one book that I know I'm the only one that was probably reading. But Origins wrapped up. I know Ryan, new guys in the chat. This is a great 6-issue miniseries. There's no plans to continue it. There's zero spec value, but it's just a freaking great read. And it wrapped in April. Boom Studios takes forever to drop their trades. So the odds of you finding this in a trade paperback before the end of summer is probably not great. But I went to my shop and I got issues 2 through 6. They were all on the shelf. I just had to order issue number 1, another copy of issue number 1. So I've got a second set, and at some point I'll do a review on it in a larger format, and I'll give away a set of the book because it's really good and some people need to read it. Besides me and Ryan, the new guy. Any other books this month you want to mention, Alec? Anything you read or anything you want to mention before we wrap it up here?
No, I mentioned Serial briefly. That's the only really other thing I've read recently that was of note for me. Nice.
And Jason went to get another beer, so we lost Jason, but we appreciate his books that he's been reading and his comments. I don't think I brought up any DC books tonight.
Except for Swamp Thing.
Well, yeah, Swamp Thing's been great. It's on issue 3, but like issue 2 was in April. I'm trying to think of what my favorite DC book for the month of April was, and I'm just getting a blank. So there you go. I'm glad somebody else is reading it. So there you go. Thank you, Bearded Comic Bro. That's pretty much it for us. We will be back with Andy and Adam in a week on the Comic Core, back for the Wednesday show. Before then, you can catch White Whale and I on
Big Will's channel.
Big Will's channel. I got my new dice that I'm gearing up to throw. Sunday nights we have our D&D game, and I got a new set of dice. If I can get them out of here. I got my, they look better in the container, actually. I got a new set of dice that I'm looking to roll, baby, roll.
Those are so nice. So nice.
So some metal dice are going to make some loud noises on the old tabletop.
Not louder than Big Will's cockatrice.
So there's that. Tomorrow, my new edited video Comic Community News episode drops. So please check it out. If you missed last week's, go check that one out too. That was a great one too. Always fun special guests on there and fun information and all indie speculation issues. So we're looking at why people are paying $1,200 for something's killing the children and trying to ask why when there's better books to be reading out there. So, hey, try that out. Jason, you got anything coming up you want to let people know about? Anything they should be aware of? I'll have to add your link to this when I'm done here.
No, not necessarily. I have been playing a lot of video games recently instead of reading comic books, which has been nice. New Resident Evil is coming out, so I'm going to be playing that. So I just recently played through all of Resident Evil 7 because I didn't play that, but I already pre-ordered 8. So I just beat that recently, and I'm playing through all the extra downloaded content now, and I'm almost done with it. So just in time, I think nice. Tomorrow or the next 2 days, day or two, the new one's coming out. So I should be done with all the extra stuff before that hits. So recently, I think it's like 2 nights ago, I streamed one of the extra DLCs in the game. And it's like a game of 21. You and a guy with like a bag over his head, you're both kidnapped, and you have like this hand, so it's like Saw, like you have a hand contraption of like guillotines like on your fingers, So if you lose a hand, you lose a finger. So I'll stream that for a bit. I of course deleted it after it was done, but it was a lot of fun. So sometimes you'll catch some live streams happening randomly, but if not, then I don't really plan to release any solo material. As far as like mainframe Comic Con stuff. We have our Horror Fest coming up sometime soon. I think in May.
Next weekend.
Next weekend. There you go.
Yeah, the 14th, 15th, 16th, I guess, if I'm right.
Yeah, that sounds right. So a lot of cool guests. It's gonna be fun. So check that out for Mainstream Comic Con.
And Alec, do you have anything coming up? Any shows you're going to be on? Anything that people should be aware of?
No. Now that I'm not doing D&D, my channel is on air once every other month now.
But it will be on next month because we'll be on Alec's channel to discuss the month of May and some great books that have dropped for the month of May. So if you want to see the next episode of the New Comic Book Day Book Month Club, make sure you're over there next month for the first Wednesday of the month. We'll be over there on his channel, which I think is actually the first, if I'm not mistaken. It is now my turn. So now I can tell about them. Saturday night, Bearded Comic Bro and we are starting our 2-month look at the best years for summer movies. So we are each episode, we're going to pick a year and go through all the movies that came out May, June, July, and August for that year and try to sell you on the idea that that's the best year for summer blockbusters.
Did you guys have a favorite pick of a movie this year that came out, like the Oscars that happened?
We pretty much agreed on a lot of our favorites. So a lot of the same feelings on the movies. There was a lot of like mediocre endings to movies, so we were disappointed overall by a lot of that. I think the biggest underrated movie that people aren't talking about, we agreed, was the One Night in Miami.
Yeah, that was great.
And you can stream it right now on Amazon Prime. Great movie, really well acted. And,
such a low budget too. Just it's all good storytelling, is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just guys in a room talking about just like hot topics, man. Like,
and Regina King showing that she can just do anything. So she directed that movie, did a great job.
I mean, it was a play originally, so it's like that's all you need for a setting. It's just a play. It's a play with high quality movie recording. That's all it is.
We did predict the Oscar winners. We did really well overall on our predictions.
Nomadland sucks.
Yeah, I did not care for that movie. Yeah, we gave that pretty low grade. Yeah.
If you want to watch someone take a dump in a van, and be bored to death, go ahead and watch Nomadland.
And you can call me controversial or whatever, but I do think Anthony Hopkins was the best actor of the year, and I like Chadwick Boseman a ton. I hated that movie. The Ma Rainey movie was not good. And the father is powerful, and Anthony Hopkins playing a guy going through dementia was like Hitchcock made a movie about dementia is what it really is. It's powerful.
What movie is that?
It's called The Father.
Cool. I gotta check that out.
And he is superb. If you can watch that whole movie and legitimately look me in the eye and say Chadwick Boseman was better in Ma Rainey, then I don't know, something's wrong with you.
Okay. Cool.
So, but anyways, this Saturday night, we're looking at summer blockbusters, and we're doing the year 2008, the year of Dark Knight, the year of Iron Man, the year of a lot of great comic book movies. So lots of great summer blockbusters. So we're doing 2008. We're going all the way back to 2008. But that is it. We're going to get out of here, let Alec get his COVID nap in, and we'll see you guys all next week.